Good morning, afternoon, evening, middle of the night, everybody. Welcome back to an original type episode of Weekly Money. I want to show you the first week on the road for one of the newest guys that I'm dispatching for. But before I do that, a really quick announcement that I'm super stoked about. You can now have access to a live load board, one of the major load boards, the DAT load board, with no DOT number. That's a big deal because in all my past videos, you've heard me say you have to get a free intrastate DOT number. Getting a DOT number is pretty complicated if you do it on your own. A lot of you try and you're like, why do I have to pay $300? Why do I have to pay $600? And granted, hopefully none of you paid that because that means you weren't getting a free intrastate DOT number. But the point is that all of that confusion is now gone. It's now gone. You no longer have to get your intrastate DOT number in order to have access to the DAT load board. Now, you still get 30 days free, which is massive. There's another load board that's also major, and that's Truck Stop. Many of you have both if you're on the road already, but this is really geared toward those of you that are preparing to get on the road or you just don't have DAT load board. But either way, you're preparing to get on the road. You should want to know what real loads are paying before you jump into a truck payment, trailer payment, insurance payment, fuel payments. You should want to know this information because that's where your income is going to come from primarily. So the reason why I'm so excited about this is because many of you that are jumping into the business can now see a live load board without having to get a DOT number. That's massive. I can't stress how huge that is. As a businessman and having been in many different businesses, I created a lot, sold a lot, started a lot of them and whatever. It's huge to know what your income source is going to be like before you take on expenses. So I'm going to show you step by step really quick how you sign up for your free 30 days of DAT load board access that does not require a DOT number. And immediately after showing you that, we'll jump into one of my newer guys' first week on the road. Now, let me explain a few details before explaining the process. So you do get 30 days free. This is a subscription, folks. So you have to sign up. Use your credit card. You sign up. If you want to cancel after the first 30 days, that's fine. But if you're about to get in this business, and I've said this in other videos before, and you're about to buy a truck, a trailer, insurance, which is basically expense, and everybody that has them knows that they're not inexpensive, then a subscription to a load board, being that that's your primary income source, is priceless. So why you would cancel after, your 30-day free days, I don't know. But if you want to, you have the freedom to do that. There's no term commitment or anything like that. But anyway, you sign up, use your credit card, your first 30 days are free, and then depending on what package you pick, that's what you'll be charged every month thereafter. As for signing up, here's the link that you use to sign up. Basically type it into your search bar, Google bar, Safari bar, Firefox bar, whatever it is that you use for a browser. Type this in, it'll get you to the screens that you're gonna see here. You're also welcome to Google DAT on your own and sign up, but if you do, they will not give you 30 days free. The 30 free days are through my affiliate link, which is the one that's here. So that's why you wanna type that in so you do get the 30 free days. And lastly, before we get started, if you're wondering, do I make any money if you go to DAT with this link and sign up? Yes, it is an affiliate link. They do pay me a couple bucks a month as long as you're subscribed. Your price does not change any. That's their way of compensating me for bringing you to DAT. But it's a win-win because you get load board access. I make a couple bucks, but again, you get load board access. So you're actually able to make an income in this business, or at least see the potential to make an income in this business. So let's get into this. Step 1, create an account. Put in your email and create a password. Step 2, you're going to enter your authority type. If you have an MC number, great, put it in. If you have a DOT number, great, put it in. But here's where the magic is. If you don't have either, it's still okay. It's still okay. This is the new component of this thing. If you do not have a DOT number, you do not have an MC number, you're just kicking tires, trying to see what loads are paying before you go ahead and jump in to getting a DOT number, before you go ahead and jump in to getting an MC number, before you head and jump in to getting a truck, trailer, insurance, you can still proceed. So you're just going to pick no DOT, no MC number. Next, they'll ask you, what kind of business are you? Well, you're a carrier and you're also your own dispatcher because you're dispatching yourself. Now, even if you have a dispatcher like myself or any other company out there, it's still good to have access to a load board because at least you can see some things that your dispatcher may not see. I mean, even me, I have a small group of people that I dispatch for on purpose so that I don't miss out on loads for anybody. Because if you have too many drivers you're dispatching for, it's really easy to miss out on loads for the rest of the crew. And that's not good, because now you got guys sitting in parking lots. And thankfully, I have not had the experience of my guys sitting in a parking lot waiting for me to find a load because I'm busy with somebody else. That's not necessarily what happens. Actually, that doesn't happen. Knock on wood. Thus far, that has not happened with me and my crew of drivers that I dispatch for. So either way, if you're dispatching yourself or if you have a dispatcher, what you want to select here is carrier dispatcher, because basically you're a carrier dispatching yourself. And if you have a dispatcher, it doesn't really matter. This is the next step so you can get access to the load board. From here, it's pretty self-explanatory. You enter your company name, your credit card number, because you are starting a membership. You can cancel it whenever you want, but you are starting a membership, and you select what membership level you'd like. Again, there's a $35 option, a $50 option, and a $100 option. Pick whichever one you want. It doesn't matter. The first 30 days of it are still free, and you can see the features for each one once you enter this link into your search bar. You know, study which one you want and whatever. If you want to keep the basic one at first, that makes the most sense. However, if you know you're going to, rock on for a while, then it makes sense to get the one you want, whether it's the $50 one or the $100 one. It doesn't really matter to me. It's totally up to you. But after that, you get full access, live and in living color. And yeah, that's it. Enjoy. Let's jump into this weekly money video. And by the way, the trailer buyer's guide that I put out last week was a 2-part episode. A lot of you watched the Saturday episode, which was part 1, but the one with a lot more details and a lot more meat to it was part 2, which came out on Sunday. So check that out. First things first, a warning to all my newbies out there. Your first week or 2 on the road more than likely will not be smooth. Chances are you're going to have a couple bumps in the road, if not more than a couple. But even more than that, your MC is more than likely brand spanking new. Less brokers are going to give you loads, which means you almost got to take what you can get, which means you're probably going to do a lot of driving because you have to go after whatever's out there that brokers are willing to grant to you with a brand new MC. So just a word to the wise. For example, it took me several hours to find this driver's first load. Now, his MC was only several days old when we started working together, when he took this first load. So a lot of brokers said, no, it's too new, come back in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. But nonetheless, I had to get him moving. So he had to deadhead 2 hours, empty driving 2 hours from home to his first pickup. Now, 2 hours of deadhead to me is not a lot. To most guys, is not a lot. I try to keep deadhead down to about 2 hours max. But anyway, he drove those 2 hours, got 2 loads. I booked 2 loads going out of one shipper, going to 2 different drop-offs. So this he originated in the Texas area, and what I'm finding is that in the south of the country, from Texas all the way to California, or from Texas all the way to like the top of Florida, Alabama and all that, is pretty much about $1 a mile is the norm. Anything above that is super duper gravy. But in this case, he ended up deadheading about 160 miles. And if you do the math, his rate was about $1 a mile. So as far as securement goes, many of you experienced guys and ladies out there may say, why is there a strap over the top of this thing? You're going to crack it. And you're absolutely right. I actually FaceTime with all the guys that I dispatch for because most of them are beginners and have no experience on the road. And I walk them through securement and, placement of straps and chains and all that kind of stuff. In this case, the driver and I were communicating because I said, wait a minute, that strap across the top of both of those carts is going to crack the top, and you're asking for an insurance claim or at least pay out of pocket for the damage. He said, no, the top is removable, and they advised me at the shipper to strap the top that way so it doesn't blow off. So new to both of us, very good idea. He did not crank the strap down. He just lightly put it on there, enough to keep it in place should the knobs and latches let go, but not so tough, not so tight that it would crack the top and create damage. Typically, your loads pick up from a business and go to another business. Hotshotters are mostly business-to-business drivers, business-to-business transportation. In this case, the loads picked up at an auction and had to be delivered to the people that bought these 2 items, these 2 carts from the auction. So we deliver it to a consumer, which is not really what happens often with freight. It happens, but not the majority of the time. With vehicles and cars and things like that, yeah, you deliver to consumers at times, but not so much with freight. So there wasn't a big complication except for the shipper was not able to give my driver a bill of lading, a BOL. So we had to create our own using the information we had, because you want to have that on the road, especially if you get pulled over. State police or DOT officers want to see that you have a bill of lading. You want to prove that you didn't steal this item and that you're just taking it home, trying to pawn it off. So you definitely want a BOL to be in compliance, whether you create one or you're given one by the shipper, which is what happens 90% of the time. Nonetheless, this load went well. We had to coordinate a little bit with the consumers, with their schedule. They're at work, they got to get home, pick up the load from you or whatever. We had to sort that out a bit. Nothing major. This was delivered without incident, and the money was fair. So that was Monday's load. We picked it up in Texas on Monday. By Tuesday, we were in Alabama dropping the first cart. And then by Wednesday, early to midday, we were dropping off the second cart in Memphis, Tennessee. By the time my driver got to the drop, I had already had a load lined up 18 miles away. It doesn't always work out that way, but this was an 18-mile deadhead to pick up this beauty from dropping off the second cart to where this nice big metal thing lived. Please focus your attention on the upper left-hand corner where the black arrow is. That's where the fun begins, and that piece right there was the next contestant on The Price is Right. A site like this has all bad written all over it. Typically, brokers will jump down your throat, and they're talking about filing an insurance claim or how much can you pay out of pocket to cover this damage. I was anticipating something like that, but thank goodness, God is good, the broker was even keel. He said, look, this is used equipment. The buyer knows it. The buyer's the receiver. And I know it as the broker. Not a big deal. This should have been shipped vertically, standing on its legs, but they put it on the side because otherwise it would have been over 14 feet tall and almost impossible and would have cost a fortune to move. So they decided to put this used mixer on its side and ship it this way. So they knew something could happen. And again, it was used. It has rust and such things. So nonetheless, no claim came out of this. We didn't get, charged for this damage. They understood what it was. Thankfully, my driver's dad has been a truck driver for decades and obviously has taught him a couple things. And my driver was able to quickly, secure this now hanging piece in its place for the duration of the ride so that it didn't further crack or totally fall off, or more importantly, hit somebody else on the highway, which is the main thing. Public safety is our main job as drivers. The money will come, the loads will come, but public safety is the main thing. Anyway, this made it to where it was going, no issues. It had to get there by Friday at 4 p.m. That's when they stopped unloading. We had to stop. My driver stopped for fuel. That's when he saw this, doing his walk around, checking the load out, checking the straps and such. That's when he saw this, so it's important to do that. But seeing this and me working with the broker and such delayed us by like 2.5 hours. And we almost didn't make the drop. Thank goodness my driver scraped in at about 3:15 p.m. to Colorado and dropped this off and then started his 34-hour reset, even though he had time to go, but loads don't move on the weekend, so you might as well reset on the weekend. So Friday, he started his 34-hour reset in Colorado, was ready to rock late Sunday, but of course the boards aren't open. So as of Monday morning, it got a bit more interesting, but we kept it moving. But really, we almost didn't keep it moving because I could not find a load for my driver Monday morning leaving Colorado. Good thing he has access to the Loadboard, and he was able to book his own load leaving Colorado, headed to West Virginia, paying $1,850. That was fantastic work on his part. Do any of you remember Micro Machines? Remember the commercials? The guy would talk really, really fast. I'm about to do that. So Colorado to West Virginia, picked up Monday, dropped off Wednesday evening. Driver was able to make great time and did drop off Wednesday evening. I had already booked a route while he was in transit for Thursday morning pickup. That was an absolute crap show. So it was scheduled for a 5 a.m. pickup. The driver called the loader. The loader said he was still sleeping. Call him back at 8. That's absolutely insane. He was supposed to pick up a scissor lift and a forklift. The address on the Raycon was a sketchy house, which my driver did not feel comfortable going to. I don't blame him. He probably wouldn't have made it out alive. Long story short, he got a corrected address at about 8 o'clock to go to an Air Force base. Finally got on the Air Force base. When he gets there, the guy tells him these two pieces cannot be loaded because you don't have a roll-off. I called the broker. The broker says, I as the dispatcher was supposed to know that a roll-off was necessary. That's absolute hogwash. I hung up on the broker, which I never do, but I did. And I had booked the load after that for my driver to get to because this was just nonsense. So he leaves there, drives 2 hours to pick up a load. It's supposed to be 4,000 pounds. He gets there, it's 12,000 pounds. Nothing we can do. I'm trying to still, to this day, chase a TONU, a truck order not used, for that load and for the sketchy Air Force Base load. Nevertheless, I got to keep my driver moving. Booked him an $800 load from Ohio to New York. He was able to grab that, run it. While he was running it, I grabbed him another load from New York to Maryland. It was a COD load. I've never done a COD load. All loads always get factored. This was the first, but the company had really good reviews on Truckstop and on DAT. So we went on a leap of faith and trusted it. Ran the load, $900. All went well. Delivered it. Driver ended up on Friday afternoon at 4 p.m., 15 minutes before the receiver closed, dropping off, and then he went to Virginia to reset for 34 hours and spend the weekend with buddies. Whew. Week 1 and 2 with a brand new MC on the road. Get your 30 days of free DAT Loadboard access without a DOT number required. Sign up for the free before you buy a truck course or spend a couple dollars on the Get Ready, Set, Prepare course. I'm tired. I need a nap. I'll see you guys.